It's time.
It's time.
And now, it's time for Herman and Sharon.
Hi.
I love you. Thank you for joining us.
I love you.
We appreciate it. You look nice.
Thank you. So do you.
And she,
With your red tie. That's your power tie.
is it? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I feel powerful today.
Jerry Martin came up to me and he said he thought it was a neat idea how you cut your tie and made your side of your glasses with your
Yeah,
tie.
I wrapped it. Yeah. Thanks, Jerry.
He's a joker.
He's right over there.
He's a joker.
And he's got a million jokes. If you
right.
stand by him, you'll get 20 of them before you leave him. This is going to be a great day.
Yes, it is. We have Deborah Ross with us today. She's a gifted Bible teacher, speaker, writer, singer. Wow. Before founding Deborah Ross Ministry, she owned and operated, listen to this, 3 nationally acclaimed dance studios.
Oh, I know it. The pictures are in the book.
In a generation of throwaway marriages, her marriage survived adultery. Her passion is to know God, and her calling is to share His word with the world.
Wait till you hear this. She's actually here
Yeah,
physically.
Exactly right.
Right.
There she is.
There she is. There's the book on the screen.
Hello, hello.
Healing Broken Marriages.
And there's
Love
a million
never
of them
fails.
out there.
Yes, that's right.
Hey, Dave, can you get a close-up of this? I know you had it you just had it on camera, but yeah, there it is. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's a good picture. Hold that for a while. Notice the man and wife are upside down. See the 2 married couple that you put on top of a cake?
Uh-huh.
They're upside down.
But look at the back. Look at the back of the book.
Yeah. See, then everything is straightened out once you read through the book. Did you do that on purpose?
I designed that. I did.
That's a good idea.
Yes, because God took our marriage that was upside down for 18 years and
And
turned
made
it
it-
right side up.
I just heard recently you can't hardly find those little
Yeah,
bride and grooms
Yeah.
anymore
Yeah.
at the
Oh,
top
really?
of the cake.
They
Yeah,
have-
they don't use them
They
anymore.
make them now with 2 men and 2 women. They
No.
don't-
I hope not.
That's so bad. Okay, great book.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to write it? Actually, you've lived the whole story, so
Right.
it's life.
Most of it only took about a week and a half to write because I sat down and it just flooded out of me.
Wow.
But from the concept to the actual book took about 5 years because I was journaling and the Lord said, this is going to be a book. And I've got crazy faith. I'm a Hebrews 11:1 girl, and I just was like, okay, it's going to be a book. And so as I'm journaling, I believed it, but yet, I was healing. I was very hurt at that time, and a lot of things had to happen in my life, raising my children and being a wife and a mother and just healing. So I kind of laid it down for a while. And then a few years later, the Lord just said, okay, now, and brought the right people into my life, and they were like, well, we want to see the whole script. And I was like, oh, I only have 3 chapters. So I just sat down and wrote the whole thing.
Wow.
You got to be a
So-
type A.
I'm type A.
Okay.
A plus.
'Cause
Yeah.
you could walk into any company, and if they give you a chance, you would probably be right up there at the top. In fact, that's what happened. There are places in the book where you just walked in, and your qualifications didn't justify
Right.
what was happening, but all of a sudden they discovered, get rid of this guy and put her in to what he had because
Right.
that was your boss,
Yes.
and you just took off.
Yeah.
Started making more money than unbelievable. But so you kind of remind me of that kind of person. It's like, okay, just get away.
She's like, doesn't she remind you of Kim?
yes,
My niece Kim?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Kim's very much
Yeah.
like that.
Have you ever wondered if you married the wrong guy? Did you ever think of that?
I really think that a lot of people think that it could be the woman thinking that she married the wrong man, or the man maybe even thinking that he married the wrong woman. I think the devil, John 10:10 says that the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But Jesus came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And the devil will stop at nothing. And so he puts these thoughts in our heads throughout the course of our marriage, well, what if?
Yeah.
What if this is the wrong person? What if you would have married so-and-so from high school? What if you would have married so-and-so from college? What if, And so the devil is scheming all the time. And so sure, I thought, did I marry the wrong guy?
I'm just reminded of an interview that I did about 2 months ago, maybe a little longer than that, where she actually said in her book that right after they were married, they were in the hotel room, and he sits on the bed and grabs his head and said, "What have I done?" And she said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I just got married. What have I done?"
Good way to start out
Now
a
that's like
marriage.
wake up.
That's scary. Now, my marriage was nothing like that. My husband and I were very much in love when we got married, and we were both lost. So we were just two lost people that got married.
Okay,
And
what was
so-
your family like?
Well, I came from a broken home,
Yeah.
and my husband also came from a broken home. So our model of what a marriage was supposed to look like, we didn't have that.
Yes.
And so all we knew was what we had grown up in. In my mind, I thought that finally my salvation had come. Not salvation in the Lord, but my salvation in life, in that I had a husband who was going to love me, a man, because I didn't have my father growing up, you know, from a divorced home. So I had a man in my life who was going to love me unconditionally, and I felt like all would be well.
Yeah.
But-
You had a business,
Yes.
and he had a business in 1984 when you were married. And as you just said, both were lost. Did you have any desire to not be lost? Did you know there was something else?
Well, my grandmother had always told me about Jesus and took me to church. I would stay with her in the summertime. And so I knew about Jesus, and I believed that he was the Son of God. My husband had actually been baptized at age 13, so in his mind, he thought he was saved, although we never went to church together. We never read our Bibles. We never prayed together. We were two lost people married. But in his mind, he thought he was saved. He was a counterfeit. In my mind, I knew I was lost, but I did believe in Jesus as being the Son of God. And and you know, if you'd asked me on certain days, I might have said, yes, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm an American.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
So, but no, I was not saved.
Down the aisle of a small Baptist church on Sunday morning, you got saved.
I did.
What brought you there?
Well, for me, I tried everything. I tried success. I'm type A,
Yeah.
so of course
And you had success.
I had great success. I had 3 dance studios, modeling studios, a modeling agency, made lots of money, bought, you know, houses, cars, everything, and you know, I even tried, I tried New Age, I tried healing rocks. There was this thing where everybody thought these rocks had power, you know, and I bought this big rock and stuck it on my head and laid on the bed. I was like, oh, I'm
You
trying to get
actually
some
believe-
peace.
you actually
Well,
believe
I
that?
just wanted peace. I didn't
Okay.
have any peace. You know, it's like I was so busy working
Yeah.
7 days a week, making money, you know, being on top. And I loved what I was doing, but at the same time, I had no peace. And so I just came to a place where I remembered my grandmother telling me about Jesus, and I was like, well, let's go to church. So we went to church, and
Who took you?
my husband and I actually went together. We went together. Yeah. He never had anything against going to church.
Now, was his background Baptist?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why then you went to a Baptist church.
Yes, and mine was actually Baptist also. So
Okay.
we went to a Baptist church. But now I'll tell you
Do you know
this.
how many people I have on here? This goes another direction, but I mean, many of them are charismatic now.
Yes.
But I mean, I would say the majority of people, when I asked them, they were saved in a Baptist church, Billy Graham crusade, something like that, and of course they went a direction, you know, that many times they do. And so you were saved in this Baptist church. What did that tell you and tell your husband that both of you needed this?
Well, let me kind of rewind. I began to pray for peace. I didn't know God, didn't know who I was praying to. I was reading New Age books, but I was praying for peace. And in those prayers, I was probably praying Jesus because I knew about Jesus. And the Lord brought people into my life, and He actually brought into my life charismatic Pentecostal people who took me to their church. And so I would go and visit all of these other churches, and I would see the power of God, which I had never seen before. I always knew the love of God, which I had learned about in the Baptist church.
Did you think they were kind of wacky? I mean, be
No,
honest now.
honestly, I really
Okay.
did. See, I've got Hebrews 11:1 faith, so that's just me. So in my mind, it was the piece of the puzzle that was missing that made God real in my life.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like, because otherwise I was never good enough. I saw the love of God before. I understood the love of God. I understood people who were good Christian people who had love in their hearts and did good things. I understood that. But because there was no power that I saw, there was something missing for me. I don't know how to explain it, but there was something missing for me to where God was not here and now with me.
But you didn't find the Lord in those churches that you visited?
Oh, I was very interested, yes.
Okay.
I did find the Lord, but I didn't surrender to the Lord.
to Him, okay.
Yeah,
You experienced the Lord
I
there.
experienced the Lord. I was
It
curious.
just didn't become personal.
Right. So when I went to this Baptist church on a Sunday morning with my husband, and they had the altar call, it wasn't the message that drew me to Christ. It was just the Lord. It was just time. The Lord drew me.
Yeah,
it was His
right.
Word,
Yeah.
yes. And so, I mean, it was like I was chained to that pew. You know, the devil had me chained.
Yeah.
And I had to break those chains to get loose, to go down front, to surrender to the Lord. But it's the best thing I ever did.
Oh, yes.
You know, once I got down there, I was free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But you are the kind of person, kind of like our assistant, Linda Opsel, where you want more.
Yes.
So you started wanting more.
Yes.
How did that go?
Okay. Well, for me, I had seen people pray in tongues, and I had seen healings and different things in these other churches I had visited. And to me, it seemed that there was a connection there of people who had the baptism of the Holy Spirit with evidence of speaking in tongues and these other manifestations that I would see. And so, but I wanted so much of God. I wanted God. I was like, Lord, you know, I don't understand any of this, because at that time in my life, all I knew was Adam and Eve. You know, I knew Noah's Ark. I knew Jesus in the tomb. I just knew the basics. I didn't really know the Word.
Right.
And so I was like, Lord, I just want you. And so if these people are not right, if I'm chasing after the wrong thing, please show me.
Yeah.
Show me what you have to say about this. And so I just went on my own personal search of just really, literally sitting down for about 3 months and just searching through the whole entire New Testament, just devouring the New Testament, underlining things, praying, asking God. Now, this is right after I got saved. Right after I got saved. And so one day I was sitting in my great room and I said, you know, Lord, I don't want to be manipulated. I don't want anybody to influence me to do something that's not of you. So I'm going to pray, and I'm just going to start worshiping you with my hands lifted. I'd never lifted my hands before, ever. Back then, nowadays, across denominations, everybody's worshiping the Lord. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back then, in the early
Well,
90s,
see, Baptists do this, and the Charismatics do this. I don't know.
right? Well, back
You
then,
must have better shoulders or something.
back then, I didn't see too many Baptists even lift their hands back then. Okay, so it was a new thing for me. So I was sitting in my great room and just started worshiping the Lord with my hands lifted, and just started praying from deep within, and the Holy Spirit came upon me. I began to speak with other tongues. Honestly, it was a power that blew my mind, and I stopped, because the Holy Spirit is a gentleman, and He doesn't make you do anything you don't want to do. And at that time, it was so powerful, it was so overwhelming, so wonderful, but it kind of frightened me a little bit because I was alone. But at the same time, it was wonderful. It's kind of hard to explain. It's a wonderful thing, but it was so powerful.
Did you kind of think you lost your mind?
Actually, I was laughing. Me and God were laughing. I was just worshiping. I was just laughing. I was thinking to myself, if anybody saw me right now, they would think I was a nut. You know, I really did. I thought people would think I was a nut. But you know, when the Lord touched me, and see, here again, I came from a broken home, and I have never felt that kind of love before. That was a new experience for me.
In that room, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
that was a totally new experience for me. This was above that day that I was chained to the pew, that I broke loose and I received salvation. This was beyond that. This was a touch from God where His love just completely enveloped me.
Now, Jay, your husband, did not embrace this.
He, from the very beginning, he started to go to church every single Sunday morning with me.
Yeah.
He didn't care to go to the charismatic or Pentecostal churches, because to him that was just too close to the fire. You know, I mean, it's like he didn't want somebody to read his mail. He was a sinner, and he didn't want somebody to say, you know, call him out. So he didn't care to do that.